So we're also going to talk about originally in the Colin Trevorrow script, Rey builds her own lightsaber also, but it's a dual-bladed lightsaber.
Yeah.
Which this is one of the things in the script I actually like, and I'll tell you why. Because in all the sequel trilogy movies, Rey actually has a staff the whole time.
Right.
So it's like a payoff in the story. It makes sense that she would feel more comfortable fighting with a staff.
Right, and I think it follows up with Luke Skywalker. I mean, he created his own lightsaber. You know,
yeah, well, she does. Remember at the very end of Rise of Skywalker.
But it's cooler for her to have the saber, the staff and saber.
Yeah.
Because it's their own original thing.
So you think it's cooler for her to have the lightsaber staff over the saber?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It does pay off her having the staff in the other movies.
Yeah.
Another thing is we find out that Kylo Ren actually murdered Rey's parents under order of Snoke.
It's awful. Makes no sense at all. There's no redemption for a character that kills off. I mean, I'm sorry, but if someone killed my parents, I wouldn't be like, oh, I'm trying to save them, you know? I'd go after them, and it'd probably end up, if I was a Jedi, killing them.
Well, in this version, she actually doesn't save Kylo.
Right. He's beyond saving.
There's no redemption for him at all.
Which kind of, I mean, it's like the whole series is based on, like, this character finding his way out of the dark side.
In all of Star Wars, overall, is based on redemption.
Right.
The story arc of Star Wars is based on redemption.
Vader gained redemption by at the end of the first trilogy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean.
Yeah, the whole idea of Star Wars is that.
Yeah.
Also, another cool thing I thought about this was in this screenplay, the final battle takes place on Coruscant, and I think Coruscant was one of the main things that was missing. Sorry about that. Coruscant was one of the main things that was missing.
I love Coruscant.
Yeah, I think it's
canon of Coruscant.
Yeah, it's the coolest planet.
Yeah.
This whole trilogy, I was like waiting for them to go to Coruscant.
Yeah, I mean that was actually for the first episode 1 through 3 when they showed Coruscant. It was like, this is awesome. Yeah. Especially episode 2 with that whole chase scene.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think it's amazing.
I think that was the best. Coruscant was the best thing that was that came from the prequels.
Right, and it actually stands out in Clone Wars too. I mean,
yeah, well, Coruscant and Clone Wars, I think, are the best things that came out of the prequels being the way they were.
Yeah,
definitely. And I've grown to like the prequels more.
Oh yeah,
I've kind of a love-hate relationship with the prequels, but I love the Clone Wars.
As far as for the first 3 movies, I mean, episode 1, 2, and 3, like I like the second half of episode 1, and then 2 and 3 I can watch.
Yeah.
I mean, the first half of episode 1 was kind of corny, but after that, it was like, you know, it's pretty decent. There's good sword fighting, good saber fighting. And then,
yeah, I mean, I like. There's things I love in all of. I love Qui-Gon. I love Darth Maul. Awesome. There's a lot of things I love from the prequels, but I think the execution fails at some points.
Yeah.
And some of the character choices and things like that. We're not getting into that now.
No.
That's a whole. Yeah, that's a whole.
Worms.
That's a whole other podcast. We'll do that one soon. We'll do what we would have done with the prequels as our next podcast, actually.
Yeah.
Another thing, what I think is really stupid, is Chewie flying an X-wing.
That's awful. It's just, I mean,
it just doesn't work.
It's stupid, man.
I mean, I guess it makes sense that he would obviously know how to fly one, but do you really want to see Chewie flying an X-wing?
And do you really want to stuff him into the X-wing cockpit? I mean, he's like 7 feet tall. It's impossible.
He could probably fit in the cockpit.
He just looks so stupid.
He would look stupid. I think it would have been funny though if they did it.
Yeah,
comically.
Comically, but you know.
Yeah, I could live without seeing that though.
Yeah, I mean, Chewie should be with Lando.
Yeah, Chewie with Lando. I think that worked out really well.
That's how. Yeah, if it's not gonna be Chewie and Han, Chewie and Lando works.
Chewie and Lando. Yeah, and I think Lando should have got the Millennium Falcon at the end.
Yeah, that's when he says, "Yeah, do you want to find out about your family?"
In my mind, Rey has Luke's X-wing and
yeah,
Lando
exactly.
has the Falcon.
I was wondering that same thing when I was watching the movie. I was like, why doesn't she have Luke's X-wing?
Yeah, and why would she get the Falcon? It just makes more sense that Chewie and Lando flew off on the Falcon, and Rey is off with Luke's X-wing now.
Right.
Doing Jedi stuff.
The other thing, why does Poe Dameron get R2-D2?
I don't think he gets R2. I don't think at this point anyone owns the droids. They just kind of go where they want to go.
But R2 is always accompanying him in his X-wing.
Well, usually it's BB-8.
Yeah, I mean BB-8 has moved on
to Rey. Yeah, BB-8's more moved on to Rey. I think the same thing with Rey. I think BB-8 kind of does his own thing.
Yeah.
Because remember, he snuck aboard with Finn.
Yeah.
In Episode 8,
yeah.
Last Jedi. Okay, well, and I think probably one of the most interesting things about this script is the addition of Mortis. Mortis is like this mystical realm from the Clone Wars where the Force is balanced. It's almost like this dream realm where there's the embodiment, the son who's the embodiment of the dark side, the daughter who's the embodiment of the light side, and then the father is sort of like this wizard. He's almost like Gandalf. And he keeps the Force, the son and the daughter, balanced.
Oh, wow.
And originally in the Clone Wars, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka went to this world, and they wanted Anakin to stay and take the place of the father, because the father was dying.
What season was this?
I think it was season 4.
Okay.
I want to say season 4. It's probably one of the most talked about aspects of the Clone Wars and what it introduced to the Force. And it kind of showed Anakin his future. It showed him becoming Darth Vader to himself, but then when he decided not to stay, they erased that part of his mind.
Okay.
And it's actually the first time that Qui-Gon shows up in animated form.
As a Force ghost.
As a Force ghost. Well, sort of. More like a vision.
Yeah.
And you
like
also...
Han Solo.
Yeah, you see a bunch of cool stuff in there. So yeah, I mean, there's cool... That would have been cool. I think for most general audiences, though, they'd be like, what the fuck is this?
I know. I mean... If they're going to go that route, you're gearing it towards the hardcore.
The hardcore fans.
You know?
Which I think Rise of Skywalker was geared towards the hardcore fans.
Yeah, it was.
I feel like the hardcore fans really liked it, and I feel like a lot of the newer fans and a lot of the general fans didn't like it as much. A lot of the newer fans kind of gravitated towards characters like Rose. And
Rose is pointless.
I didn't dislike Rose, but I don't care about Rose.
Yeah.
I didn't need to see more of Rose. I don't think she was an interesting character.
The other people who didn't like the movies were the people who basically wanted 4, 5, and 6 over again.
No, I don't think it was that. I think people who didn't like the new ones, I think there wasn't a consensus. I think a lot of people loved Last Jedi, and those people hated Rise of Skywalker.
Right.
And a lot of people loved Rise of Skywalker, and those people didn't like Last Jedi. Like we said earlier, there's no cohesion at all.
Yeah, 3 different movies.
Yeah, 3 different movies, and they felt too different.
Yes.
I mean, New Hope, Empire, and Jedi all felt different, but they also all felt the same.
Yeah.
They all. I mean, obviously Empire is the best.
Oh yeah.
New Hope is really good. They all had different feels, but there was more. It seemed like even though they weren't finished and they weren't completely planned out, they were all sort of planned out. There was an outline in place.
There was an outline, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so next we're going to talk about Star Wars #1, the new Marvel comic series. This series picks up right after Luke got his hand chopped off on Cloud
Exactly
City.
after, like that day.
Yeah, like that day. Like he's literally sitting on the Millennium Falcon thinking about meeting Vader and finding out that Vader might be his father. At this point, he's not sure. And it kind of goes... It starts with sort of a flashback of
him getting his hand cut off.
Yeah, him getting his hand cut off. It shows his hand and lightsaber falling down the shaft. It's really cool. And then there's like...
The art's excellent, too, by the way.
The art's really good. And I find it interesting. It makes sense. Leia really doesn't trust Lando at this point.
Of course. I mean, how could she? He just betrayed them, and he basically, in her eyes, led to Han being taken by Boba Fett.
Yeah. Yeah, and they could have went after. It says she wanted them to go right after Boba Fett at that point.
Yeah, but he made a good point. Lando's like, well, then what would happen? We killed Boba Fett, and then Han dies.
Yeah, and it was either Han or Luke.
Yeah.
They could have probably gone after Boba Fett, but then they couldn't have gone back for Luke.
And Luke would have died.
And Luke would have
died.
died.
There's no guarantee that Han would live.
Yeah, so that was a cool scene, and Lando really has to earn the trust. And I find it cool that there's TIE fighters still chasing them. And
this whole thing, this whole
there's a whole battle.
Background, this battle is like, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. They end up meeting up with the Rebel fleet.
This is part of the Rebel fleet.
Part of the Rebel fleet, and this is before the really end of Empire Strikes Back, where
when you see them on the bridge,
yeah,
you see.
They're not on the bridge. They're in the medical bay.
Yeah, where Luke hits his hand, and they're kind of looking out of the window, and
yeah, that final shot, and Lando and Chewie are about to go find Han.
This is before that.
This takes place before that. This is before Lando was wearing Han's clothes.
Yeah,
which I always thought that was kind of weird at the end. He's like, I have your dog, your ship, your girl, and your clothes. I just betrayed you, but I'm hoping this comic kind of shows how things were smoothed out. Because Chewie is about to rip Lando's head off
Well,
in Empire Strikes Back.
This is an ongoing comic as far as I could tell. There's no limit to it. It's not a miniseries, so who knows? I mean, they can delve into any kind of way they want.
Yeah, I think this comic is going to connect Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. How they got into Jabba's palace, how Lando went undercover, how Luke became such a badass.
Now, is she a new character?
Yeah, they introduced a new character. What is her name? Commander Zara. I was hoping it was Ray Sloan. Ray Sloan's an admiral that was introduced into... She's in a lot of the canon books. She's been in like a few different canon books and comic books. I was hoping they would actually bring Ray Sloan into this. I love Ray Sloan. And I guess she's going to be kind of the new character hunting down the rebellion. And it's cool. It goes into the Tatooine 4, I believe it is. It looks like one.
Yeah.
And it shows all the Pathfinders. It kind of follows Poe Dameron's parents.
Yeah, they show us... And that threw me off at first, like, Dameron. Oh, nice.
You never read the comics that introduced them.
No.
There's comics that take place right after the Battle of Endor that introduces them, and it's like a mini series.
I think what's interesting is that Poe follows the steps of his mom and not his dad. His dad is like a ranger or like some kind of fighter, and his mom is the pilot.
Yeah, his dad is a Pathfinder, which is a rebel commando.
Yeah, ranger.
Yeah. And so they were already introduced. You have to read those comics.
Yeah.
They're really good.
They're cool characters. I like them.
Yeah, I really like them. The Damerons. Yeah, and Poe Dameron's mom is a A-wing pilot.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, really cool.
Because there has to be some way that he got his piloting
skills. Her name's Shara Bay. And what was his name again?
I don't think they gave his first name.
Just Dameron.
Just Dameron.
Yeah, I knew his first name. I have to find what it is. The art's really good for this comic.
Art's solid, which is sometimes a problem with the Star Wars comics.
Yeah, I think the best Star Wars comics is when the main characters are somewhat photorealistic.
Yeah.
When they really look like the characters.
Like, look at Lando there. I mean, he looks just like Lando.
Yeah, Lando looks great.
Leia looks great.
Leia looks really great.
Luke, he looks okay.
Yeah, Luke looks good. I think there's one cheesy part when Luke is able to
pot the gun with one hand.
So Luke just got his hand cut off about 20 minutes before, or a couple hours before.
Not even.
Yeah, and he has this kind of robotic cast on his hand, and he hops down into one of the turrets and is fighting, blasting away. I guess Bacta and Star Wars medicine's a lot more powerful.
Yeah.
Than the average medicine, but it's cool. They show inside the cockpit of a TIE fighter, and there's this whole chase scene. I'm just flipping through the comic right now. It's a really cool scene, and it really sets up something cool. There's also a really cool conversation
between
Vader and this new character. Yeah, the new commander.
And there's Luke again.
Yeah.
Struggling with his connection with his father.
Yeah,
and also struggling with the fact that Ben lied to him.
It's cool. Okay, so this goes back to a scene from early on in the original Star Wars series, the first Marvel Star Wars series that this picks up from, where Vader first finds out that he's standing in his Star Destroyer in front of a huge window looking out into space, and he finds out that his son is alive. Luke is alive. Palpatine has lied to him all these years, and Luke is alive, and he's out there, and he's the rebel pilot that destroyed the Death Star. And he gets so angry the glass cracks, the transparasteel in the Star Destroyer. And there's a scene in this comic that mirrors that. Luke having the same contact to the Force, when he thinks about it, the window shatters behind him.
Yeah, I'm wondering why in Star Wars The New Hope, why Darth doesn't figure out that Leia is his daughter. Because Leia has Force powers as well.
Yeah, but he didn't know he had twins.
Right. But he didn't know there's a boy or a girl. It could have been one girl or one boy.
But once he found out about Luke, he immediately...
But I think he would have been able to sense Leia.
I don't know, because she didn't know. I think as soon as he figured out...
Well, he studied, I guess. Like, he's actually delved into the Force, whereas she, she's...
Plus, there's lots of people in the galaxy who have the Force. If he knew that he had a son, he knew he had a kid.
Right.
That Padme was pregnant, but he didn't know that there was twins.
Right. Yeah.
So once he found out about his son, he wouldn't have looked
for others.
For another
Jedi,
kid.
when he realized, oh yeah.
Yeah. And this is the last shot right here. It's Luke standing there looking. It says, "What am I supposed to be?" So I think this series is about Luke trying to find out who he's supposed to be and what his place is in all this and in the Force.
If you're not reading the Marvel Star Wars comic books, get out there and read them because they're excellent.
Yeah, really good.
They're way better than any of the comic books that came before them.
No, there's some Legend stuff I like.
Yeah.
So what do you think? So this is basically going to erase the Shadows of the Empire storyline.
Yeah.
So back in the 90s, there was this big mass market, multimedia.
Toys, everything.
Yeah, toys, video games, books, for a storyline called Shadows of the Empire, where it kind of linked up what happened between Return of the Jedi, or Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And it followed this like fake version of Han Solo named Dash Rendar, which I always thought he was cool. And it introduced this guy named Prince Shizor, who was the leader of the Black Sun crime syndicate.
Yeah.
And there was like this really weird scene in there where he basically like raped Leia. Yeah. Because his people, the Fallen, have this ability. They emit this odor that makes all women attracted to them.
Yeah.
So they can seduce any women.
I mean, I read.
It's good, but it's very dated.
Yeah, I mean, the art always threw me off.
The art wasn't great.
The art was crap.
The book was better than the comic book. So, what do you think they're gonna do with this series? What do you think's gonna happen next?
I like to see the progression of Luke. I mean, he still has to make his lightsaber, and he still has to find himself. And he somehow I mean, you look at Luke and how confident he is about a Jedi at the beginning, as opposed to where he is when he's with Yoda. Somehow he emerges as this confident Jedi.
Yeah.
So he has to go through some kind of training between Empire and Jedi.
Yeah.
Who
trains him?
Exactly.
Ahsoka?
I mean, maybe Ahsoka. They've already said that they're going to bring Ahsoka.
I mean, Ahsoka's alive at this point
because she's old.
She's not that old. She's like
40.
She's like 40. Yeah. I mean, she's not old. She's in her prime, and it's already verified. In the last episode of Rebels took place after Return of the Jedi.
Right.
It shows her alive. It shows her going off with Sabine to find Ezra.
Yeah, I mean, I think they could really go into Luke training.
I think Ahsoka training Luke.
That'd be cool.
Just like Anakin trained Ahsoka.
Yeah.
That would tie the two universes together. I'd love to see another.
I'd like to see a live action Ahsoka.
Yeah, I'd like to see a live action Ahsoka, but I'd like to see another battle between Vader and Ahsoka, like what happened in Rebels.
Oh yeah.
I want to see them meet up again before Vader dies. I want to see Vader and Ahsoka have another moment, and maybe it going differently, more like I'd rather see a conversation than a fight.
Yeah.
Between Ahsoka and Vader. What do you think's going to happen? How do you think Lando's going to prove his?
Well, I think Lando will prove it to Chewbacca. I mean, that's who he has to prove it to the most. I mean, we don't know how much he sees of Leia.
Yeah.
You know, so we don't know if he has any connection with Leia between. I mean, obviously there's some kind of connection.
There's some kind of connection because
they all knew where to go.
The next time we see them, they're even in the end of Empire, they're getting along.
Right.
So something happens in the next, issue or the next couple issues that kind of smooths over the relationship. Maybe Lando really makes some like strides at making contact with a
Well, I mean, by Jedi, he's a general. He's a general.
Yeah. Well, so a lot. Yeah, obviously a lot happens, but I'm thinking before the end of Empire, he makes a connection with maybe like a smuggling contact.
Right.
And gets a lead on how to get into Jabba's palace.
So he goes out and he finds Han.
Yeah.
And then he comes back with that information, and because of that, she trusts him.
And then that's where the end of Empire
comes.
Yeah.
Because they never say how much time goes by.
No. Luke's chilling. He's better. He has a new robotic hand.
Yeah.
So it's definitely been smoothed out a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll be cool. And I'd like to see Lando, how he becomes a member of Jabba's guard.
The other thing I'm looking forward to is there's a Vader comic that's going to go right along with this one, taking place between Empire and Jedi, and it's going to be Vader, and that's going to be freaking awesome. I can't wait for that.
That's going to be cool.
I think it's Charles Soule as well, actually.
Yeah, Charles Soule's the best.
It's in the back. If you look in the back. Oh, good. Yeah, the back of the comic.
Yeah. This series is by Charles Soule as well. Charles Soule did a really good Lando series. I think that's still my favorite Star Wars comic series.
Oh yeah, that's one of the best ones.
The Lando series is really good. Yeah, I love the art. I love everything about this. I'm excited for this series.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. So we're going to continue to talk about this series as it comes out. We're going to continue to put out Fuck I Love Star Wars episodes, along with other episodes of Fuck I Love Wrestling, Fuck I Love Hip Hop, Fuck I Love Comics, Fuck I Love Highlander. There's a lot of different subjects we want to talk about. So
we're on a Star Wars kick right now.
Yes,
this is my last.
I'm always on a Star Wars kick.
I'm just saying that right now Star Wars is the main focus.
We're gonna be continuing our Star Wars no matter what. Everything else is just gonna be side videos.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Star Wars is gonna be the main bread and butter of this this channel.
We'll walk you through everything that happens between now and the next movie. And you can see, we'll walk you through the comics if you don't have a chance to go out there and check them out yourself.
We're gonna do standalone episodes where we do commentaries for movies, episodes of Clone Wars, etc. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below, share this. And maybe in a little bit we'll start doing live episodes.
Definitely.
Yeah, answering your questions. Comment down below if you have any questions for us or anything you want to recommend for us to read and talk about. Graham's Green, peace out.
All right, man. Thank you.
Have a good week, everybody.